When I remember back to when our daughter was first diagnosed, I remember all sorts of feelings, sadness, fear, overwhelm, surges of energy, and then feeling overwhelmed again. But I didn't stay there. And what helped me with that was I learned about myself that I need to talk out my feelings. And it's when I keep them all inside that I end up adding a whole other layer of stress and strain that doesn't need to be there. That's what I just learned worked for me.
In the beginning days, hopelessness was initial thoughts. Part of ours was simply because we thought we had done all the precautionary stuff, and yet it didn't turn out the way we thought it was going to turn out, the way it should have turned out. So I think fear was huge. We felt afraid. I remember going straight to the internet. The night that I was told, I went straight to the internet and started going crazy. And then in time, you learn to calm it down. You start talking with your providers. You start realizing that I can do this, or we can do this. My husband and I can do this together. But that does take time, and you have to be okay with knowing that that's going to take some time.
It was 18 months of not knowing, and getting the diagnosis, it was a relief. We actually knew now what the next step would be.
When our daughter was first born and the information was coming in about the challenges she was going to be facing, I was overwhelmed. I wanted to retreat. I just felt like I couldn't do it. And as time went on, I was able to get my feet up underneath me. And one of the things that I realized is my husband and I were going to be the best to take care of her. That we had to do it, needed to do it, and we were going to be the best at doing it.
When I think back to when I finally received a diagnosis for my son, I remember feeling a sense of relief. Finally, I was able to hear confirmation from a professional that they actually saw what I saw and I had been seeing for many years. And so I remember actually thanking the doctor by saying thank you for seeing what I see.
So I wanted to know big picture things, not so much about the disease itself, but more the treatment, why we were doing the things that we were doing, how we were going to know if it was working, what the decision points were. So I was often asking questions that were 2-3 months out, stage 2 and stage 3.
And what worked for him just did not work for me at all. I needed to know, what medicine does Kayla need? When do I need to show up at the hospital? When's our next clinic visit? Just right now, day-to-day stuff.
So I would often ask questions that would then turn to overwhelm her, and we had to learn how to almost tune out when it was too much information for us, and at the same time have respect for the space the other person needed to get their information so that they could cope in their own way.